The Galactic Council chamber was eerily quiet as Ambassador Lila Moore stood at the center, flanked by two imposing figures, Varric and Talia, once small and fragile, now towering warriors nearly 8 feet tall, their fur pulsing with radiant energy, signaling they had reached their full maturity as Zorathian soldiers. The chamber's environmental processors hummed louder, trying to keep up with the collective intake of breath from the thousands of delegates present. "Impossible," hissed the Estrin representative, his skin flashing bright violet with disbelief. "These cubs were left for dead. They should have vanished ages ago." Lila smiled, a faint but knowing smile, recalling the day 12 Earth years ago when the Zorathian Alpha had first arrived at Earth's lunar base. Desperation was clear in his every movement. His species on the brink of annihilation at the hands of the Mevrock Empire, and he needed Earth's help. Earth had refused, claiming neutrality in the galactic conflict. But the Alpha did something extraordinary that day he entrusted to small cubs, no larger than Earth kittens, into Lila's care. Their eyes had been closed, weak, and vulnerable. "If we fall, let the Zorathians be remembered," the Alpha had said, his voice breaking under the weight of despair. "Will you teach them the art of survival?" He never returned. His fleet was lost to the Mevrock in a final, desperate assault, taking down to Mevrock warships before vanishing. The Zorathian homeworld was lost soon after, its signals fading to silence. Their species was declared extinct by the Council, except for the 2 cubs, now in human hands. Lila had taken Varric and Talia to her family's ranch in rural Wyoming. She thought the hardest part would be convincing her parents to accept the alien cubs. But her father simply built them a shelter in the barn, and her mother studied their nutritional needs. As the cubs grew, they didn't do so in a typical Zorathian fashion. Zorathians reached adulthood in just 5 years, but on Earth, it took them 15. Human doctors speculated it was the gravity, the atmosphere, or their diet. Lyla had a different theory. She raised them as she would her own children, with love, patience, and discipline. She taught them Earth's history, from the ancient world to modern-day politics. She made sure they learned not just the successes, but the failures too. Varric became deeply fascinated with strategy, studying everything from Alexander the Great's campaigns to modern-day military tactics. Talia, on the other hand, absorbed everything about diplomacy, leadership, and building relationships. Together, they learned what humanity had to offer, how to thrive, when it seemed impossible to survive. But there was one lesson that would change everything. The Zorathians were not gone. Varric's voice resonated through the chamber, commanding the attention of every delegate in the room. "We are alive. We stand before you, and we've brought others with us." The viewport overhead revealed the vastness of space beyond, but it wasn't the beauty that captivated the Council. Hundreds of ships filled the starfield, not the polished warships of a mighty fleet, but converted civilian vessels, cargo ships, mining rigs, even merchant freighters. Every one of them was emblazoned with the insignia of species long forgotten by the galaxy's ruling powers. "What is this?" demanded the Quarian commander, his antennas trembling with disbelief. Talia, stepping forward with the poised elegance of a diplomat and the intensity of a warrior, spoke, her words measured yet filled with quiet power. "This is the Forgotten Legion. We are the species you abandoned, the ones you deemed too weak to survive the Mevrock invasion. But we have endured." Lila had watched this moment unfold for years. Ever since Varric and Talia had matured and chosen to leave Earth, they hadn't sought revenge or recognition. But they had brought something even more radical: hope. Hope to those cast aside by the galactic powers. They had united the survivors, the Zectorians, whose home planet was obliterated by the Mevrek, the JYNTH, whose families were wiped out in an unprovoked attack, and many more who had been left for dead by the galactic elite. "We are the Forgotten," Varric's voice echoed again. "We have survived without you, and we will continue to survive without your help," the council chairman, his voice thick with anger, sneered. "You are not recognized as citizens of this council. You have no claim to authority over these systems." "We don't seek recognition," Lila interrupted, her voice calm but unwavering. We are here to make one thing clear. The Mevrak's advance has been halted, not because of your fleets, but because the Forgotten Legion has stopped them. She activated a holographic display above them. Footage played of guerrilla tactics cargo ships, once peaceful, now repurposed for combat, using unconventional methods to hold off Mevrak dreadnoughts. It wasn't high-tech weaponry that won the day. It was human ingenuity. When you have nothing left to lose, Varric's voice echoed, that's when you're most dangerous. The Eastran representative, once so sure of his position, faltered. What is it that you want? Nothing, Talia replied with a soft but firm smile. We're here because we are taking responsibility for our future. We'll defend the Outer Rim and protect those you abandoned. The council erupted into disarray, but Lila and her Zarathians were already leaving the room. They had said what needed to be said as they walked toward their shuttle. Varric turned to Lila. You taught us well. Your father would be proud. Lila's heart swelled with pride as she watched the two cubs she had raised turn into the leaders their people needed. He chose the right teacher, she whispered. The Forgotten Legion had already left the council behind. Their next destination? The Outer Rim? The battle wasn't over. Not for the forgotten, the displaced, or the ones with nothing left to lose. They would defend their home and their future. Asterisk, join the Neon Cub Tales family? Subscribe now for epic stories.